100 discs, one winner. The biggest giveaway in disc golf history.
Welcome back, my friends, to MDG Media. This is Round 2 Front 9 MPO lead card coverage of the 2025 Krokhol Open just south of Oslo, Norway. We have some of the hottest days of the year to date in the country, some winds picking up, and a lead card here that you might not be as familiar with, but hopefully you're familiar with us by now. I'm Connor Wood, and with me, Mr. Elias Luukkonen.
What's up, Connor? What's up, viewers? Yes, you might have seen us before. And a lot of these players we have seen before, at least heard of before, but also one name that is almost brand new to both of us. So very exciting to see, and a huge chance for these players. Of course, first player on the tee, a bit more known, Benjamin Callaway. Discraft guy, well-rounded player, has got that good backhand forehand combo and clean technique. I really like his form.
Joining him, Raven Newsom, MVP-sponsored player, also very capable both ways, strong on the green as well, has a cool signature celebration as well for a nice putt. We'll see if he pulls that off here today.
And Gannon Buhr, #1 player in the world at the moment as far as ratings. He's gonna challenge these guys to their best. Of course, he's a player that can scorch any course up on any given day.
And you mentioned one lesser-known player, Jacob Blair, joining us for this lead card. This is his first year full-time on tour, by my understanding. We get to learn, all of us here, a little bit about his game. We kick it off here, hole 1, a 133-meter par 3, playing net uphill in terms of tee to basket height. OB lining the left and right the entire way. That left side is much more dangerous and a much more common one to be found. A lot of players are going to try to throw a soft flex or pure backhand hyzer if they have the power into the hill. The best shots will be able to land on top. A safe shot will most often hit that slope to the right of the green, roll down, and leave you with a fairly safe 3.
Jacob, good to meet you. Nice to meet you, David.
I brought it out with the field to go, like, yeah, drive.
First on tee from what cities, Iowa, US, and Team Discraft. Give it up for Benjamin Callaway.
Super interesting to see how Ben Callaway's game suits on this course. Of course, shooting 9 under in round 1 has to mean that he's feeling pretty comfortable here. And already his approach on hole number 1 is going to tell a lot about how the round is going to go. And he's going aggressive. I love this play. Needs the wind lift from the right to left wind, and he's going to get it. Great drive, putting from just outside the edge of circle 1.
From Scotch Valley, California, United States, Team Top World Disc Golf. Clap your hands for Jacob Blair.
Okay, tell us who you are and a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'm Jacob Blair. I'm from Scotts Valley, California. For those that aren't familiar, it's Santa Cruz, where De La Viega's from, and this is my first year on tour, and I'm loving it so far. First time in Europe, so.
Yeah, you just shot an 8 down here in Krokhol on the opening day. Tell us about the round.
It was pretty good. Got kind of a bummer roll away on 1, and then I hit the basket on 2 and rolled away and ended up getting a bogey. So I think that kind of pissed me off. Like I felt kind of upset right away. So I just was fueled from there and just started birdieing a bunch of holes. So it felt good.
Yeah, as it stands right now, 1064 rated with the chance to be on lead card. You had an early tee time, so we don't know yet. But what are you expecting for tomorrow?
I'm hoping to do much of the same. I mean, most of these holes, it's kind of funny, it's obvious, but it's like if you throw a good shot, you can birdie, and if you don't, you get in trouble. So today I threw a lot of good shots. Just hope to throw a lot of good shots again tomorrow.
All right, great shooting out there, and good luck moving forward.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
A simple approach to a complex game. Great to have him joining us here on MDG. and fantastic experience, exposure for him for what he mentioned is his first European stretch of the tour.
From Urbandale, Iowa, US, Team Discmania. Make some noise for Gannon Buhr.
Gannon almost parked this hole yesterday, went just about 5 meters long. And switching up the game plan, taking a different disc, this time a distance driver. Still going with a slightly turning shot. I like the angle for the safety. He's not really going to challenge the OB on that left. Rolling down, a very common result. Usually that results in an easy par.
Last player out on the lead card from Hot Springs, North Carolina, US, Team MVP. Raven Newsom.
Thank you. Thank you.
Raven, a player who's known to manipulate angles very well. We see that from him here, a soft turn, a late fade, a good piercing forwards shot, just 102 meters shy of making it up top as we see the ever familiar roll down to the super common landing zone, almost always leading to a fairly stress-free 3. Jacob up first.
Thank you.
Yeah, par on hole number 1 is it's not only the most common score, but also very much an okay score, as Gannon maybe giving it a bit of a bid. The wind on hole number 1's basket is going to be unpredictable, and as it's going over the hill, it's really hard to say how your disc is going to react.
And an interesting note you mentioned earlier, Elias, that Gannon changes his approach despite parking the hole in the previous round with that yellow-red dyed disc. I think an increase of winds suggesting to him that he needs something higher speed and more stability to manage those. Additionally, you mentioned that he's looking to replace that disc with something more stable as it begins to beat in, so not trusting that 10 speed in the wind. Worth noting today is the gusts pickup.
Absolutely. I even tried to sell my own replacement of the same disc to him for 180 euros. Didn't quite bite the deal, but maybe later, as we're moving on to hole number 2. 202 meters uphill, playing much longer than 202 as far as how hard you have to throw. First shot is playing with a nice turnover distance driver, or you can go fairway if you're a further thrower and you don't really want to bite off that much distance off the tee. Once you hit the fairway of the tee, get that 110, 120 meters of distance, 80 meters left, and you have a choice whether you want to go for a right turning backhand or a fading forehand or even a backhand hyzer, like some people do.
This is a great shot here for Ben's preferred line, very competent on the backhand. We see a beautiful full flex there, a lot of distance bitten off, and in a great position to have a straight look into the green. Jacob opting for the forehand hyzer here. It will bring less potential to the distance off the tee, but almost always going to be safe, even with some turn and some fade. He finds the tree. That is really the only obstacle available for the forehand. Could have been a mis-execution. Additionally, perhaps a small bit of bad luck, but we see the backhand from Gannon as well. Speaks volumes considering he also is very comfortable on the forehand.
Almost an identical shot to yesterday's, where I believe he used the same exact words, get over. Just aiming to get barely over that little hump. And Raven, I like the angle. If it just holds to the right, this is gonna be great. On the edge of the wood line, he's gonna have a shot from there. It's not gonna be ideal footing, I believe, but definitely an okay angle to the green.
And Jacob's connection with this tree will leave him a lot of distance left to the green, so unlikely he was even trying to go for it there, considering that that was what was most likely a safe choice. He finds that left tree line par will be very difficult to scramble from there. We go now to Gannon playing the forehand. We look to see this turn through the gap and fade only late in the flight once it beats the bush. Perfectly executed there. Sneaks his way into circle 1, hunting first birdie here of round 2.
I love that angle control from Gannon as he put some turn on it, which pretty much takes away the chance of finding the OB on the right side. Same thing for Raven here. Really nice shot and ending up just below the basket. That is the ideal way to play that forehand.
Ben with very smooth form on both the backhand and forehand is super compact, not a huge range of motion. We see him fire a little bit long there. And Jacob, in a more favorable spot than I had anticipated, is able to stretch out to an open look and sticks it nicely. From the previous angle, I expected him to be deeper within the tree line. A solid scramble for him, all things considered.
Ben there from the bushes. Very solid connection. I feel like that's actually the first time this year I've seen anybody go significantly long on this hole. Somehow the second shot plays much further than what it looks like. Usually you're going a little bit uphill and going over the last bit of a hump before the basket. I feel like it's easy to leave it short. But a couple of good birdies there by the card.
Particularly with the forehand flex being the preferred entrance into the green. Surprising to not see anyone go long on the full flight. We see a hole here, I think less likely for us to see the forehand flex, although certainly possible. Par 3, hole 3, 95 meters is a pure tunnel shot. You have very tight woods on the left and right. If you are off the fairway, the gaps are extremely small and it's super difficult to make any sort of meaningful progress, so keeping it down the middle comes here at a premium for these players. A steep drop-off to the left side. You can very quickly find rollaways, even to circle 2 and beyond, if you miss the putt or catch some middle. We go first to Ben, maintaining the box here, looking to shape the backhand hyzer flip.
And that was early. The early kicks can be scary, as if you kick left, oftentimes not only might you find that relief area on the left side of the fairway, you might also lose your disc. Again, and also kicking towards the left. Gonna be a tough scramble from there on the third most difficult hole on the course. This hole surprisingly averaging well above par at 3.21.
Really interesting look at Raven's quite unique forehand grip there. Something between a power and pinch grip on the forehand. You saw that 3-finger stack. Very interesting. And a favorable kick off the tree for him. Jacob showing us he is comfortable hitting gaps here. Straight down the tunnel into the wood chips and just before the wall's edge. Really well done. Curious to see his footing if he'll have to putt from below the wall. That is not an OB line, so he will not get a meter. Placing the mini may be enough. Ben chipping away here.
Giving himself a chance. It's not the best one. It's honestly, even though this hole is playing so difficult, a lot of these top players are seeing it as more of a birdie hole than a difficult bogeyable one. As it's just right in front of you, it feels like an easy hole. And really what makes it difficult are those gnarly tree kicks that happen a lot of times.
Ben to save par. So smooth. Fantastic putt from circle 2, showing us why he is currently our leader coming into this second round.
I love his angle. Look at the release. Just the slightest bit of hyzer, perfectly flat nose angle. I feel like that is honestly the ideal angle of putt. As
What
Raven.
a step. Finds it really well done there for his birdie.
And Jacob here, just a tap in for the birdie. As you mentioned the footing, he was able to step on the top side of the wall. Good break there.
Hey guys, quick break. In addition to the first MPO feature card, we are also producing the second MPO feature card this week and next week in Krokhol. The full rounds will be available through our YouTube Premium subscription. If you want to support us and also enjoy some more content, go check it out.
The discovery of electricity, the first flight, democracy, splitting the atom, computers, modern medicine, space travel, and of course, the Royal Line from Latitude 64.
Hole number 4. As I said in round 1, one of the more satisfying shots on the course, 148 meters, playing close to 115. A lot of players are opting to go for a very overstable fairway driver here. Plays really nicely for that right-hand backhand flex shot. You want to push it towards the right side OB, but have that disc be overstable enough where it should never end up OB. And if you want to miss on the left side, because from the OB, you're always taking a bogey. If you miss on the left side, you might even get lucky and have a C2 look.
And as you can see, the flex, of course, playing nicely for the shape of the hole, but also allows the initial gap to feel as large as possible. Raven considerably early, but does get slowed down just in time. Mystic Elias there predicting that left side being favorable for the C2 putt. Jacob here, this looks to have a nicer degree of turn, a good stability, and I like that touch of nose down to control the pace. Fires one into the green, just long. You'll be happy with that.
Beautiful shot, well committed. And this gap, I feel like this gap is really a separator between the top and bottom parts of the field, because for these players the gap really isn't that much in play. The gap is wide enough where if you're a 10-30 rated player, you're pretty much always gonna hit it. As you saw from Ben, not really stressed. I mean, that look, he just made it look so easy on that one.
Might be easy for 10-30. 10-50 on the other hand suddenly looks a bit more complicated, and an early OB really brutal here on this hole. We've even seen historically some re-tees depending on where you cross out of bounds. Gannon has enough progress that it makes sense for him to move up, looking to play the hyzer and save the bogey at best now.
Luckily for him, the bogey is very savable from the right side, and he's going to be in the circle there. Usually I feel like when you find that right side OB, the bogey is the most common score, but honestly, if you let your attention slip for a bit, the distance is a bit tricky to gauge.
Raven low, Ben just a little bit higher, sneaks his way in. 2 under through 4, a very solid pace that players might expect, particularly if they're on the lead card. And a nice birdie putt there for Jacob as well.
Yeah, Jacob laying very solid so far, considering the fact that he only has 1 8-year or above win so far in his career, so he's not super experienced playing on the biggest of stage. And as he said in the interview, first season touring full-time, so impressive stuff on the first 4 holes.
We'll see if he can carry that impressive play here to hole 5, a 175-meter par 4, playing softly uphill the entire way. This left side OB lines the fairway and is the most commonly found danger here. A lot of players, as a result, will play forehand hyzer twice if they're comfortable on that. You have this entrance into the green either as the drone flies or on the right side with a backhand hyzer. Most often players will choose, depending on the lie of their tee shot, which entrance and which shape, but it really does open up for backhand, forehand, overstable, understable. That second shot, very inconsistent in terms of shot and disc choice. Ben not only leading the tournament, but also leading the Snakes to safety.
That is very respectable work that he's putting in, and very interesting. I think we need a scared of snakes stat, because I feel like almost none of the Americans are scared of snakes and almost all of the Europeans are scared of snakes. Something interesting going on. So we saw a nice little safe hyzer from Jacob there. That is the preferred play if you just want to ensure to have a chance at birdie. This is much bigger. but actually gonna be a terrible position from Ben Callaway. That is unfortunate that he got the flex back and didn't just stick on the grass.
Raven now also committing to the full Anheuser shot. We see little to no fade, just panning back out to flat with a forwards push. That is a great spot to be. Will allow him the traditional entrance into the green. We go to Gannon now, looking to bounce back after the bogey. We know he's certainly capable, has the mindset of a champion as well. This one fades back to the applause of the gallery, but Elias, do you think that's an ideal position?
Hard to say from this angle. If the disc stuck exactly where it landed, it's gonna be okay, but if he took any sort of roll from that hillside, which is honestly pretty likely fading against the hillside, then he might be anywhere, and that's why the right side is so dangerous if you throw it a bit too far.
And Jacob, we saw the fear of the left side OB on that shot, came out early on the forehand, but actually snuck through. He'll have a putt. Slightly unorthodox shot shape from Raven here, but really nicely executed. Could have thrown a simple backhand hyzer, goes for a touchy forehand turnover, but we see why it's his preference there, how well he executed that shot. Ben is in absolute jail. Gannon as well. They went so far that they are in fact completely pinched.
I think Gannon also probably not pleased with his attempt at the approach. Looked like he did have a lot of space, but just pulled it to the first branch. As everybody else is pretty close here. Raven there with that great forehand approach. I also very much question his choice of choosing that particular shot, but it was definitely swaggier than the regular backhand hyzer.
Straight drip here on the green of 5. For both Gannon and Ben. Some unorthodox ways into the green. Fantastic stuff there from Raven with the most stress-free birdie. We continue to hole 6. Elias, what do we see here?
Yeah, hole 6 definitely feels like one of the birdie holes on this course. It's just 100 meters, probably even playing slightly shorter with the shape. It is a left-to-right moving shot. The best, cleanest shot usually here is going to be a backhand turnover, but the most consistent shot to get within the circle is going to be a forehand hyzer. Also, the big danger on this hole is to go long right, which if you throw that forehand hyzer, you really don't have the risk of missing on that side. Whereas the backhand turnover can easily glide over the rock and to the shoal behind the basket.
Nice width and height from Raven. Gets an unfriendly result from the tree line, but he's gotten through. Will have a slightly lateral, almost backdoor look into the green. We're going out of Jacob. A lot more hyzer, a lot wider. Very lucky result there. A kick leftwards would have been probably a 2-stroke difference from the result we see there. A very dangerous putt for him though, however, potentially just a layup. See if it's within his risk tolerance to run that, how comfortable he is on the green. Ben also not quite committed to the line.
3 out of 3 shots too far straight. You really have to move right early. And looks like Gannon's line is slightly better than everybody else. And look at that. That is the perfect shot. And exactly why the forehand is so consistent. He had a lot of speed coming into the green, but you can't really fly over the rock with that forehand. And the skip with the downhill grade, it's never going above.
Ben, a blind look now. Needs it to settle. And it's within the circle. It's a 9-meter putt, probably playing closer to 12, 13.
Now this is scary. Death putt, nothing but air behind the basket, and this can go really far. Can't even see the disc. I think he might be, yeah, he's on the far edge of circle 2 even. Not able to give it a bid, just putting it to 5 meters. That's such a common thing on this hole. I don't know if it's even worth it to run outside the circle putts on this hole.
Ben for the par. Great scramble. Had a lot of distance left after the tee shot, and combining that with a putt that was fairly difficult, looking uphill into what was a headwind for him by the flag's indication. One of the hardest putts in disc golf, being forced to putt nose up into headwind. It is virtually impossible to negate the effects of the wind on your putter, but he managed it very cleanly there. Short putt by Jacob. Raven here looking to save the bogey now.
Not really a tester, but still a putt that you have to focus on. And there you go, a lot of pace. Pretty much had that spit out angle, but luckily stays in the basket, as should be expected. And Gannon with just a tap-in birdie, making the hole way more stress-free than everybody else.
Hammes needs to get something going. And in, Adam Hammes! Hole in one! Incredible!
We see here hole 7, a par 4 at 193 meters, although playing significantly longer uphill the entire way. You see this undulating fairway up and down, sparsely littered with rocks as well as short grass and natural rough to both the left and the right. No OB to be seen, but still a lot of danger here on this hole. The first shot ideally lands flat and straight, either on a hyzer that lands fairly softly, negating the skip. Second upshot here, trying to come into the green, a steep drop off to the left and long. As a result, that upshot is almost always going to be a left to right shaping shot. We're going to see the hyzer play from Gannon here. Gives it the width. That hillside, really, it's almost difficult on the hyzer to skip left out of the fairway, given the uphill slope. Catches and slows the disc down nicely.
Jacob, similar line, slightly more inside and shorter. Gonna be okay. I feel like the hyzer often leaves you with an uphill run-up, making that second shot slightly harder, especially since you want to throw kind of nose down on the second shot compared to nose up. But this shot from Ben, getting all of the distance, huge shot. He's going to be on the left side, but definitely has a chance for possibly a lean-out forehand, some overhand, backhand scramble shot. The bushes on the left side are not that big. You can always manufacture some sort of a look from there.
Raven as well with a good piercing straight shot. Ideally, with the straight shot, you could get just up to flat ground for the footing, but that will certainly play. Jacob forced to shape quite a precise line here and airs it out to the right, as almost everyone will. And that's solid. He'll be left with a very dangerous putt, but something that is manageable for birdie from what might be considered an imperfect tee shot.
Gannon, I really like the forehand approach on this one, as you're usually going to end up on the right side of the basket, and right is definitely the safe side. You don't want to end up left or long, as both options will most likely cause your disc to roll down towards circle 2. I've even seen people go all the way outside of circle 2 if they roll down this hill.
Those wood chips, really helpful for a lot of the players. Not always consistent in the reaction they provide to the disc, but traditionally will stop the skips much more than grass. Ben safely landing in that trench to the right side of the green, left from this frame. Very common place to be putting from. We go first to Gannon, dropping to the knee on a treacherous putt, but I do not think he's laying this one up, Elias.
That's not the case. I was almost sure, with the confidence of giving that a full bid from the knee. Just had a feeling that one was going in. Jacob. He's playing so solid right now. Not any signs of nerves. And being the lowest rated player on the card, playing like the highest rated player.
We've seen little to no mistakes from him so far. He's conservative when he needs to be. He picks his spots. He's just playing good, clean golf. And a good clean putt from Gannon there to clean it up. That is something that is often a sign of the top players, is they're able to be incredibly aggressive without paying the price. We see that from some of the best. We go to Ben now. This putt for birdie.
Hole 7, definitely another hole that you would really like to birdie. This 5, 6, 7 holes are a stretch which all of them are playing more than a fifth of a stroke below par on average. So definitely this is the stretch on the front nine that you need to be scoring on, especially moving on to hole number 8, which we'll see next, which is way more difficult than one of the hardest. Actually, the number 1 hardest hole on the course, hole number 8 here. 241 meters, par 4, so it's already very long and fully wooded for the first 50% of the fairway. Want to throw a pushing low hyzer off the tee, hopefully hit the wood chips in the air and take a nice straight to slightly left moving skip. Stay on the wood chips, ideally for a good position for the second shot, and if you have a great position off the tee, only then you can go for the basket for the birdie, which is gonna take a big 130 meter flex shot with an overstable driver. And it's incredibly specific, the line that you have to hit in order to reach this basket into both off the tee and also on the second shot.
Oh yeah. Flip, keep flipping.
If he can land this soft, will be an effective tee shot, but that one bleeds out to the left. The most common mistake there. But you can really try to control the leftwards movement through 2 means, either the hyzer angle with a late flip up, or alternatively keeping the height low to prevent the fade. And we saw exactly fantastic height control from Ben. Didn't get too far down the tunnel, but is very well positioned.
Raven there, I love the angle here. Is he too far left though? I think just barely too far left. Once again, it's so specific on this hole. And if you have to miss, you would rather miss on the right side, as you can sometimes get some good kicks. Gannon there getting a pretty neutral one. I think he's gonna have a patent pending from there if he wants to still attack for the par.
Maybe a good second. Yeah. I got this in my eyeball. Right through. That stuff.
Raven having the rough in his face, even in his eye, he mentioned. Difficult spot, and could explain that strange release, but he was able to chip away at the progress, just as Gannon is doing here. That island of OB after the tunnel, keeping players so honest, and he is where you would like to be from a really premium first drive or fairly average 2 shots. Ben here pushing for something huge. An aggressive line that does not pay off for him was underturned, and as a result will be early left in the tree line, leaving you just tiny gaps. Similar to hole 3 off the fairway, you can have less than a half meter sometimes in terms of available progress, the gaps that you need to hit.
We're not quite sure how loud you can hear the gameplay audio, but if you think about what's the buzzing sound on the background, that is the DGN drone filming for the live feed. Some good work that the DGN guys are doing to show this tournament live on the Disc Golf Network. As we are seeing the same mistake over and over, that is the most common mistake on the approach here. Just people fading out a little bit too early. Let's see if Jacob does it. No, he's perfect, hitting the gap. That's gonna be parked. Insane shot from there.
I love the width that he had on the release, that use of stability. Both the first and second shot here, both legs of the fairway requiring power and precision. Everything needs to go right here on hole 8 to find the birdie. Elias, if we're looking at numbers, just how hard is the birdie to find here?
Precisely so hard that only 10 people were able to find the birdie in round 2. And we're talking about 10 of the best players in the world. I mean, there are not that many players, even below 1,000 rated in this tournament. Really the standard player in this tournament is somewhere between the 1010 to 1030 area.
In a field of over 100 MPO players, or in single-digit percentages, Ben was able to find something there, even giving it a soft bid, as well as keeping it close. Gannon now. I would be surprised if this is a full run, and so much danger on that if he were to miss. Even off the band, we see him trickle to circle's edge there. But at this point in his round, for a player of his skill, I think he is full steam ahead on every hole. Another comebacker up the hill. That is 2 holes in a row now where we've seen him miss an incredibly aggressive bid, roll away, and make the comebacker.
Yeah, I think Gannon definitely has the advantage compared to some of the players with the speed of his putt. So even if he has a compromised stance, even if he's going uphill from the edge of the circle, he can mostly just use his arm and wrist and fingers to pop that disc in the basket. And that's definitely a skill that I would recommend all disc golfers to learn. You know, the more you can use your wrist and fingers to your putt, the less you're going to be affected with anything going on under your feet.
We continue to hole 9, an 85-meter uphill par 3. That slope playing significantly longer than 85. Players will have to hit this initial gap. You have quite a friendly landing zone to the left of the green. These rocks often filtering you back towards the right. This is a hole that, with really no significant dangers, might be difficult to birdie, but is a very manageable par. And as a shorter par 3, at least in straight distance, if you can hit the initial gap, it will almost always give you some sort of look. And that is exactly the filter back I mentioned. Friendly left side for Jacob there.
Ben here with a slow disc. I like the choice of going slow and overstable, as you get to the gap a little bit quicker with that slow disc, having to throw it with some more velocity. And Raven with a flip-up forehand, a very interesting play, plays it very nicely though. And landing in a spot where I bet not many players in the field are landing. It's really hard to get there with the backhand. Everybody so far with a chance at birdie on a hole that, you know, you would expect that it is the easiest hole on the course. 50% of the field is getting a birdie. So you know you're not only losing to most of the best players on the field, but also some of the worst ones, as Raven not interested in any of that. Solid ending to the back nine after a couple of holes of roller coaster before.
Ben to put himself now at 13 under. Even on this shorter putt, taking his time, adjusting his grip. No putts are for granted here, particularly on a slightly windier day. Great composure and great delivery on that putt. Confident, yet a good speed. Not too fast, not too slow. Some would say just right.
I really like his speed and angle, and might even say that his putt has been looking very good on this front nine. As we finish off with a nice little star frame there, to be expected but also to be appreciated here. 4 under, 400, 4 under, 300, 1 under, but you can see the field behind is pushing. This day, somehow, even though the wind is gusty and inconsistent, was bringing some interesting action, and these guys know they have to keep up this pace or even accelerate a little bit for the back nine to stay on the lead card. Interesting stuff here.
We had the American lead card here today, but the Europeans are pushing. We appreciate every single one of you for joining us halfway through the tournament now. We expect to see you there joining us for the second half. Like, comment, subscribe, check out the shop, and join us for the next one.